whatever milestones that Black people make against hate, it ends up benefiting all the other people of color. I can't see what his end game is. The Republican Party is the party of racism, is the party of white supremacy, is the party of hate. This is wrong, and it needs to stop.
Everybody wants to go back and drag that piece of history up, but they don't want to go back and deal with what their ancestors did to the indigenous people and to Black people in this country. You got to go. And you got billionaires talking about going to space, and Jeff Bezos, go, never come back. I hope you get lost. This man has lost his mind.
Boom! Come on, girlfriend. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And through that collaboration last year, I was able to be part of a team that reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world. As always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Broadcasting live September 18th. And it's another edition of State of Things with Aisha and Jill. That's Aisha K. Staggers, Jill Jones, and Laura Lalaki. So let me bring them up because there's so much going on. And before we get into it, you know what I love? I don't know if I'll ever want to change that intro because when we did that intro today, Lala was laughing.
But we got to get one with her edited in there now.
Yeah, we got to
talk more.
Yeah, but I just saw the smile, and she was just smiling and giggling watching it.
Well, you know, if it's true, it's true.
Girl, you know it's true.
Oh. Okay, so
and that wasn't a lip sync.
Yeah, no, Jill don't lip sync. Sorry, folks, she don't lip sync. I'm sorry to let you down, family. She doesn't lip sync.
Oh, by the way, so many people, like last night up in the Heights in New York, Madonna was getting down on the street with some of the Voguers. I don't know what. A few people had it on there. I tried to share it, but they were private, like, you know, friends. But no, yeah, in the street, it was a madhouse. There were people all over the blocks, like watching.
What was she doing?
Dancing in the street, bending down, back bends, everything, like freaking crazy wild. She's in great shape. She's fit.
Wow.
That's good to hear. I love to hear
I mean,
that.
good for her. She's having fun, enjoying her life.
Well, you know,
more than I can say for the rest of America.
So here's trivia. In the same night, I saw a Regina Bell concert and a Madonna concert.
Oh, that's
in the
awesome.
same night?
In the same.
How did you do that, though?
Okay, so in Toronto, many years ago, we used to have down by the lakefront. They had a place called Ontario Place, which had fun and games, and they had a they called it a Cinesphere. It was actually a cinema that was in like a ball inside a ball, and it was on the water. And then they also had a performance area called Ontario Place Forum, which had a revolving stage, and it was circular, and it would seat about maybe 4,000 or 5,000. Then if you couldn't get a seat in the chairs, you could sit on the grass. So Regina Bell was playing that one. It was a number of years ago. She did a concert. It was about 7:00 that evening, and it finished about 8:30. And Madonna was playing around 9:30 at our Maple Leaf Gardens, which was our big concert facility at that time. So I caught both the shows completely the same night.
Wow. Yeah, those were the days, right? And when we didn't have traffic like crazy. And
yeah, it was, what a contrast. But Regina Bell, oh my gosh. Why? Woo, make it like it was. I'm done. That song, I'm done. That song's done. Like I actually got up and said, I think I said, I would say, marry me, lady, marry me. Like she incredible singer. Incredible singer.
Yeah, definitely.
Incredible singer. So everybody's just, so how's everyone's week been?
If I could just get through the storms, I'll be all right. It's been storming here every night. My yard is flooded.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Like it's storming now. So I'm praying that it holds on with the internet. But like last week, lightning hit a transformer. And so it's been kind of wonky.
Yeah, you weren't with us last week. That's right.
Right before the show. Just I heard the kapow and we didn't know what was going on. But no, the rain here is really detrimental where I am right now. I mean, literally the ground is so soaked it can't take anymore.
We're the opposite here. We have had hardly any rain over the last few months. We've got some over the last few days, and then there's California,
where we haven't seen rain. I mean, we had a little bit, which was nothing. Like, although I will say that little bit that we did have, unfortunately, and I don't want to seem callous or cold, because we had a few people who were high up in like the San Bernardino Mountains and stuff where they got mudslides, and there was one sad story of a woman who died in her house from a mudslide. So it, I've realized I might have been kind of saying it's nothing when to other people it was something. And actually, because the infrastructure here is just, and it's so dry. So when a little bit of water comes, that's like, pouring water on a hill of flour. It's just like, that's what California's like, a hill of flour.
Yeah.
Wow. So everyone's doing okay. They're getting through America.
It's cold here at night. That's it.
Cold.
Like, nice.
Like 50s and 60s.
Yeah, we've had that. We've had that this week, but it's got a little bit more hazy and humid for the. They're predicting a above average weather on temperature wise for the fall. The Farmer's Almanac, which I know Jill Jones prescribes to.
I love the Farmer's Almanac. It is the Bible. That is the Bible, in my opinion. About if you really need to know.
Man,
we always have one in our house.
Yes,
I think that's a black look. I think a lot of black families
subscribe to the subscription. I did have a crazy time this week because my kitty, she has like chronic kidney disease. Knock on wood, it gets better, but we've been dealing with, getting her back in the swing and keeping like charts and trying to, between my Hashimoto's and her CKD, I don't know. I mean, it's like we're like up and down and up and down. So I was up for the last 2 nights until like 5. And then I had like a really weird strep throat on one tonsil, which I kind of think might have just been allergies because we have had a strange weather pattern. So that was odd. But then I actually found out that that's a part of Hashimoto's.
Wow.
Sore throats and things like that. And I had no idea. So there's a lot,
that's scary.
At least I don't have sausage fingers like King Charles. I'm okay. Well, thank God. Somebody get that man. I was telling
still wreaking havoc on people.
I was telling a friend of mine, I was just like, did you see his fingers? Like they look like they hurt because the prime minister from New Zealand was holding his hand, and you could see the white indentation because everything was so pink and where she was holding him. And then my friend was like, no, I didn't see. I said, she goes, what are you talking about? I said, it looks like somebody went and got 2 packages of bratwurst and just stuck them on the ends of his arms and put a ring on one of them. It was like, it was so scary. I was like, no wonder Diana left. Sorry.
I wonder what type of conversation we're going to have tonight. You see, and Tila's already going, LOL. Okay, and let's say hello to his family here. Hey, Jen, good to see you.
Jen wasn't here last week, was she?
No, she wasn't.
No.
Everything okay, Jen? You okay?
She texted me that she missed the show.
That's all right.
But she
She's
watched
allowed.
the replay. But
You
she
know,
did
it's
watch the replay.
crazy when the hosts of the show start stalking the audience.
Stop
No,
it.
but Jen and I
Stop
were
it.
friends
Where
before.
the
So.
hell was so and so? And he dropped off, and Chris is gone. Yeah, it's like
I haven't seen Chris
I
in a
don't know if
long
that's a
time.
good
That's
thing.
right.
I've
Yeah,
seen
he's
him on Facebook. He'll comment, but I don't know. Maybe he's
Okay.
got things to do.
So here's a new member of the family, Fitnance IQ Cam, who's Camille, who does financial education, bookkeeping in the
Ooh.
Toronto area.
Nice.
Very
Tila
nice.
says, greeting alls. Tila says, I came back from Yosemite. You really see the effects of the Cali drought in that park.
Yeah, it's terrible. Wow. You know, all it takes is a from good old Yosemite, and it would just really wreak havoc on the whole world. Not talking it up, but that I told y'all that Bill Nye show on that sci-fi channel. If you can watch the series and when you want to scare yourself, it isn't even a horror thing. It's just like a real life projection. That's scarier, in my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah, but I love him. He's the perfect geek.
I know somebody was
Perfect
telling me the
geek.
other day about Nostradamus, like they've got a new prediction about Nostradamus. I said, girl, pretty soon I'm going to read a prediction where Nostradamus said not to keep your iPhone too close to your head or whatever. Because they've updated it since I've been a kid. I mean, like, okay, you know, they talk about, you know, pretty soon we're going to get, you know, his take on the fashion week. You know, sartorialists.
Exactly.
You know, so it's been too much for
my
me.
goodness.
Mhm.
All right, let's get into and Jen says, oh, she goes, I was here. I missed it a couple of weeks back.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
And then Tila's saying it's still gorgeous, but very thin waterfalls, and the meadows could literally be rolled up and smoked. So
Wow.
dry. Oh my! See what you started, Jill D. Jones. You see what you see? People, look. If you're trying to keep up with Jill, stop now.
But I think water seeks its own level. We're all got some really weird things. Otherwise, we wouldn't all be together. There's
Okay.
something. You're probably a real cut up Dr. Vibe with your friends. Who knows what you get up to?
Well, you know it's funny. As I go along in this journey called life, I'm people say I become more and more funny. Like 20 years ago, I was all concerned career, got to be serious black man. But I said, you know what?
You know, Jill and I were yesterday saying we should share some of our text messages.
We should.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. So let's see. And Tila says, Jill brings it out of me. See? You're to blame. Jen saying Tila, LOL. And Tila says, "Oh mighty baby, LOL." So you know we've already got everyone warmed up and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, let's talk about more serious matters in the world, especially in the United States. Let's start with our first before we go anywhere, anything else, I'll say it at the end too. No live show next week. We're taking next weekend off. So the next time we'll be live, everybody, will be on October 1st. Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay, I better put that in my book.
Yes, October 1st will be our next live broadcast.
Oh, what happened to this year?
Wow, and you know, I really feel it now how the days are getting shorter. I really feel it.
Yeah.
I really feel it. But let's get back
Well,
to...
didn't they say that Jesus was going to speed time up when things get really tough?
Yes, Pastor Jones. Yes, Pastor Jones. I'm going to send you out. I'm going to send you a black shirt with a white collar. So how would everyone feel if Jill appeared on this show with the black shirt and the white collar?
Oh my God, I'd have a new church. I'm gonna Kanye can start a school for kids. I should start a church.
There you go.
And I'm ordained.
You are?
I'll be the choir.
I don't. You can be the choir.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
I became ordained in I became ordained in 2020, like during COVID.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that story right now. So for some reason, I don't think I want to hear that right. I don't want to hear that. All right. And Jen, You think I'm funny? Thank you. I can't keep up with these ladies, but I do my best. All right, let's get it. So, first conversation piece. Judge appoints a special master, rejects Department of Justice bid to delay Mar-a-Lago ruling. What we
Who
got to
paid?
say about that?
Who paid?
Trash. Her opinion was trash. Her ruling was trash. Other judges have called it trash. And all this is her kissing up and sucking up to Donald Trump because he's the one who put her there. Remember, she just turned 40. She was appointed when she was 38. So this isn't anyone with a whole lot of experience on the bench. And the fact that she appointed a special master, but then also made it clear that the Justice Department could not continue its ongoing investigation, criminal investigation of documents that they own in the first place. So this is trash. This will get overturned, and she will be embarrassed and will sit home and laugh.
It's garbage. And the thing is, who pays them? Who pays all these people? You know what's coming out of the stolen funds of Trump, who done got all his leaders, all his little crony followers to give him $1, $2, $3, $4. And then he's like, okay, then we could pay him from this fund, which, hey, illegal. That's illegal in itself. So the whole thing is corrupt. We all know it's nothing but a black cesspool of garbage. And it's just another smoke detector, smoke fog going on to keep us from seeing the real thing. It's just nothing but delaying things. But I still pray that it still goes all the way through, where all this is going to get washed out anyway. But the more and more it goes along, it just frustrates me because I'm like, can't we do what is taking so damn long? What's taking so long?
We'll make it very clear, too, that one of the reasons that she did this and people are not talking a lot about is that she told them that they can't investigate this. Guess what that does? It kicks the can down the road and means that this investigation likely will not continue until after the midterm election.
And then if it goes to the 11th,
and that is the hope.
And if it goes to the 11th district, you got to remember that Trump appointed six
of the
judges on that. So
6 of the 11.
6 of the 11 on that district. So the odds are that old Putin style of Donald Trump, I believe, has gone after people and they owe him. He acts like a mob boss. So, not many people know that years ago I worked on a case that was a case of a mafia case in New York. I can't say much to it, but the only thing that I will say is that they obviously have information. We can't underestimate Merrick Garland. The government tends to always have you, and you don't know it. And it therefore becomes important for your attorney to make sure to try to discredit it. So there's a lot of that going on. So there's two things that really were very peculiar to me about Judge Aileen Cannon. The first thing was her background and how she got to America is very sketchy. It's very shady. She went to a school that basically to date charges like $48,000 a year in a high school. Her mother supposedly fled Cuba, where I remember my ex-husband was in Cuba working on a photo campaign, and they were so dirt poor, they stole everything out of his room. And he was like, I don't even really care because they're so dirt poor that I don't even care. So this is where this woman is so dirt poor. Then she goes to Colombia. So they say. The Wikipedia is very strange. Then she goes and has a baby in 81. And that's Aileen Cannon, who therefore comes back. It's all vague, like how back to America. And then in high school, how is she going to a school that in 1994 or something was about $30-something thousand a year for her kid? Mm-hmm. What did her mother do for a living? All the way from Colombia to me? I mean, it's really a curiosity to me. Then she goes to Duke University. All of that is so vague, her life, She spent most of her time in Florida. So did Trump. I don't know. Was her mama like doing him? I don't know. Something's off about this. And it's very weird and it's strange. And we may not be able to investigate this other stuff, but one dirty little aspect that did become alert the rest of us was Miss Aileen's life. Open it up. Let's look at that, because there's something that's really wrong. Yeah. And we all know, I mean, did she come through the Jeffrey Epstein pipeline? I don't know, but there's something wrong. And how did she get there? She's 38 years old. So there's dirt there. You just need to find somebody who's willing to go in and dig it up. And there's another thing that's happening online at the moment that an attorney and a few other influencers are posting, that they're getting notices in their DMs, and they've even contacted the people, because a lot of times we get notices to become an affiliate, right? But this attorney followed up, and they sent him 5 bullet points that they want him to post, that January 6th was no big deal. It's not criminal what's going on. This is like ridiculous what the U.S. government is doing to Donald Trump, blah, blah, blah. It's a lobby group that's paying people $400. Now, $400 to a lot of people is a lot of money. But here's the problem. Not only do we have like Flynn, who was a traitor, we have Trump, who's a traitor, we have citizens who are traitors, and they're willing to sell out this country for $400.
Yeah. I mean, the other point you have to remember too is
web guys.
Yeah. When you look at Trump's judges that he appointed, 174 of the 230 plus are going to sit on the bench an average of 40 years. Mm-hmm. He literally went after millennials so that they would be on there longer. And he was very strategic in terms of where he appointed them. Think about it. This man knew that once he got out of office, all this stuff was going to start to come out. And he knew he had his attorneys there telling him, the ones he didn't pay, telling him where all those judges sit, mm-hmm. and where he needs to put people. The Federalist Society helped him to pay for these people. And that's why, to me, it's not really a surprise as to where she came from. The sketchier the background, the better for the Republican Party, because the more loyalty that they can pull from these people, mm-hmm. the more these.
But how does an immigrant whose parents piggybacked on the policies of the Democratic Party get here? And then she joins the Federalist Party. I don't buy her life. I think something's wrong.
Well, I think that
the one judge in New Jersey, when they killed her family and they killed her husband, tried to kill her husband, and all of them, that was a message that was through Deutsche Bank. Yeah. I still do not believe what they said that was. And even if it was a dude that went and did it and he was a disgruntled person, they made sure he killed himself, because he probably couldn't live with himself after he did something like that. But he was in dire straits. You got to keep an eye on all these people and their bank accounts for a really long time, because it may not show up now, or it shows up in other ways. It's not always the way you think. But mm-hmm. Aileen, her husband, there's something wrong with why is an illegal, basically, is what she is. How is she in the Federalist Party? And when there are women like that who, are in that position, you got to wonder what they have on them and how they, because it's really like they've got dirt on those people. How does a president who couldn't stand bringing in any immigrants,
there you go,
mind you, nobody's saying anything about, well, we're going to get into that, because we really need to talk about the anchor babies that Russians keep dropping off, like little packages in the tourist business in Miami and in Florida. It's such a corrupt state. Sorry, Laura. It's really like shady. But
it really is.
But when you look at all the backgrounds of all these judges he appointed, they're all suspect.
Coming from Colombia in the 80s. Do we know what else came from Colombia in the 80s into Miami, please?
you have the ones that didn't pay their housekeepers, ones that don't pay their attorneys, like Trump. You also have these ones who have lied about their backgrounds. Because remember, in order to be a judge in this country or a magistrate in certain districts, you do not necessarily have had to graduate law school.
Right.
You don't have to have a legal background. You can be appointed. Trump could have appointed the man on the street who, with the squeegee, who wipes your windshield down, to a judgeship if he wanted to. But he appoints her. Amy Coney Barrett, her background is just as sketchy.
Yeah, it really
and she's
is.
on the Supreme Court. We know Kavanaugh is sketchy. And so Trump picked people who, like himself, have an Achilles heel that he can hold on to.
Yes, and he'll hold it over their heads. Always. You're dirty. If you know him and you're friends with him, there's something about you that's dirty. It's very simple.
And he will hold their heel, dip them in the water of his protection, but that heel is still vulnerable.
He has no impeccable friendships.
Graham is.
They're dirty. None.
But I really think, Jill, and that's the first thing that I thought of, is all these connections down here in Florida, and also connections to Epstein and all this stuff. I think there's this massive underworld that we haven't even begun to
the human trafficking is down there real.
Terrible. Literally, I am constantly, like, I know we hear all the stories lately, but no joke. Now my new thing is get out, look around, see where I am, see if anybody has put anything on my doors, because there are sketchy people everywhere. You just need to be careful. But when they're talking about Giselle's not fighting to keep 8 of these names on her list quiet anymore, and I am really interested to see who's on that list.
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine. I always call her Giselle.
Yeah, I mean, if she she probably shouldn't, because she's not safe. No. So, I don't.
She's gonna go to prison regardless. So what's the point?
She's been teaching yoga in there, they say. I don't know.
Yeah. So why hold on to it? Why go down by yourself?
Well, it's because it's only a matter of time before she gets shanked in there or something.
Right.
It's like she can have a false sense of whatever she wants and try to create friends that'll have her back. But,
I just think there's a whole underworld based in there.
There is.
That's a massive thing.
So let me ask.
Hello, Florida.
It's true.
Human trafficking.
So is this case going to have any movement before the midterms?
No.
And that is what the Republicans wanted.
That was their purpose.
And she did exactly what they wanted. If it wasn't for saving Donald Trump, then it was definitely for the Republican Party, which remember, they were the ones who used the money to get her and to scout her and to put her in.
They're still going to lose.
Oh, they're still going to lose. But guess what? They're going to fight. They're going to fight.
I just fail to believe. I know, Dr. Rob, I know you're like, but I can't give up that hope. I can't. If I give up that hope that they are not going to punish them as then I really feel like I have nothing.
They may not get punished.
I'm hoping that
in different places, and even though they don't poll people equally or equitably like they should, there are some races where you can really see the difference. So, for example, Joe Biden's approval rating went up.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
Okay. I'm just saying, like, you look at that. I even look at, like, my own state, for example. This gubernatorial race was neck and neck. Last week, because of all this crap, our governor pulled forth with a 10-point lead. Right. Same thing with Blumenthal, because Blumenthal was almost at a neck and neck race. He's up 13 points. So I think.
All right, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So Black Beauty is here saying good evening, ladies, and Dr. Vibe. I'm just doing in. All I can say is preach, ladies, preach. I'm telling you. So if nothing moves forward with this, isn't that a loss for the Democrats for the midterm?
No, because I don't think that we're going to lose the midterms.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm actually opening my mouth.
I don't think we're going to lose. And guess what? And if Democrats are able to hold the House and the Senate, in November.
We're gonna
those
jack
Republicans
them
better
up.
watch out.
We're going to jack,
Because
jack,
guess what?
jack,
They would
jack,
have
jack them
broken.
up.
You know what I mean?
They would have broken the cycle.
Okay,
that,
let's.
the
I should have.
Republican
I
Party.
opened my mouth too much. I wanted to say that for later on, but maybe you should play that song, "Jack Your Body, Jack,
Yeah.
Jack Your Body."
I used
All right,
to love
let's
that song.
let's move to someone I think moving up your poll of people you cannot stand. DeSantis and other governors send migrants who are seeking asylum seekers legally to the northern states, some of them to the doorstep of the vice president, I hear.
Yes.
What a move.
I
And
know.
punkish. Let me tell you something. These people are just trying to do what Trump has already set the footsteps for. They wouldn't have thought of this on their own. They're trying to one up to see who can be more rotten than Trump is. And the fact that DeSantis went to Texas with my tax money and decided to do this stuff, that's illegal. You cannot do that. He's going to see a backlash from this, and he keeps claiming he's going to continue to send them there. Now, where I am in Florida, all I see is supporters for him. Now, maybe in Tampa, Jacksonville, Miami, St. Pete, there's a different type of vibe there. But here, I'm seeing these flags fly strong, and it makes me sick to my stomach.
You know, I was thinking about this earlier, a couple of hours ago before we had the show, and I was thinking, the thing that has to be made clear, particularly for Florida taxpayers, is that this man spent taxpayers' money to go to Texas to bring people who weren't even in Florida to Florida, land them in Florida, just so he could say they were in Florida, and then sent them to Martha's Vineyard. Now, here's the thing that he wasn't expecting. He wasn't expecting the people of Martha's Vineyard to embrace them with open arms. Instead, the people rose to the occasion. But what people really need to stress to Florida taxpayers is, guess what? Your taxes are going to go up now. Because he didn't just take this money from that pool that he says he took it from. He pulled it from other areas in the budget for this end. And your taxes are going to go up because they have to compensate for those monies that they took, right? And they're going to go up on people who make under $400,000. They're going to present it, if they're Republican, as a tax cut.
Yes.
Tax cut for people who make more than $400,000 a year. But anybody else is going to see a tax increase. It's the same thing that's going to happen with Texas as well. And Abbott sending these same people. You got like Jill was saying earlier, you got to follow the money. The money is the key. And guess who's going to pay for it? The taxpayers. And guess what? You white Republican racists who keep voting for these people, they are gutting you dry. You barely have running water, yet your master is chilling up in his hotel, peeing on his gold toilet seat. It's like, at what point do people get a break?
Because somebody wrote about this and was saying, because the reality is you're dealing with the mentality of people who are devoid of lives. They have no life. They don't matter in life, to be honest. None of us would even be talking about over half of them. But all we can say is that there were 75 million of those voted for this. And that should really twice. And you should never, at some point, you need to consider that a colleague at work or somebody, the odds, and just do the math about who's sitting around at the lunch table and which ones are grinning in your face because they don't own, they're so weak and spineless and cowardly. And they and also they get off on being able to tell you, oh yes, it's terrible, but deep down voting the way they're voting. So, in my mind, if you even have a hint, you got to cut these people out. You're better off. What the Bible say? Cut off an arm or cut off a leg and move on from these people. I don't care if they're your family member, because it's going to continue, and they are traitors. And the worst thing that America never did was take care of Flynn the way they should have.
Yes, that's right.
And I still believe we need a place like the Tower of London.
Well, I agree.
And bring it back. Bring it all the way back. Let's bring
There goes,
that
there
up
goes
and
Jill's minister hand.
oh, let's
Shall
not
I
even
say
talk about
hallelujah?
that fool. Who was that?
Pastor
black fool up there?
Jones.
Yeah.
Pastor Jones. Pastor
Yeah.
Jones.
But I agree with taking care of Mike Flynn because when it comes down to it, I've been watching.
It
the
should have
show,
been
The Search-
publicly too.
Yeah, but I've been watching the show, The Search for Q, and all indications is that Q for QAnon, that's Mike Flynn. It's his social media accounts
It is
putting out
him.
all this stuff. There's
It
a
is
lot of
him.
credible information.
Can you believe that we have now know that Mike Flynn in the military, who frequented with everybody, sold our country out? It's
Yep.
so frightening.
Barack Obama gave the warning. He told
Yeah.
Trump, get rid of
Sure
this
did.
man. There's something wrong with him.
But Trump didn't want to get rid of him. This
Oh,
was
no.
his guy, his connection. And
Yeah.
little Lindsey Graham,
I still want to know what Lindsey Graham is hiding.
they say all the moles that he has around his butt.
I don't think so. Because Pete, guess what? We knew that in South Carolina 15 years
Girl,
ago.
ain't nobody touching Lindsey Graham.
No, I want to know what.
I have a feeling he ain't been touched since I
No,
don't know, Abraham
but
Lincoln.
there's nothing. Look, put it this way: there's nothing closeted about Lindsey Graham in South Carolina.
behave
So
yourself.
I want to know what it is.
I'd like to know.
Because
No,
there's
there's
nothing
something-
closeted.
I think
Look, there's
I think
nothing
it's money,
closeted when he
because-
gets elected.
I think it's always going to, with these guys, because dead children don't matter to them. Sex trafficking, abortions, they pretend. But the reality is it's money.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
money.
it's pure money. And the reason that they don't want abortions is because they're going to create little offshoot side places where women are going to go, and they'll all make money off of that.
Yeah,
Tila
they
is
will.
saying LMAO Jill, I can. Then she says I can't. No, it's Tila, it's Pastor Jill. It's Pastor Jill.
Tonight. At least I'll be better than that old Ken, whatever his name was. Oh, the old greasy fried chicken looking brother up there for the he was okay for
Yeah.
real. He was preaching at one of those, you know, him and Herschel Walker.
You're not
It's
talking
like,
about you're not talking about Kenneth Copeland.
no, it was Ken. He's a
The bald
black
guy,
Yeah.
the big
And-
bald guy up there
Yes.
at his church, preaching to people, oh, God save Donald Trump, pray for Donald Trump, hallelujah. And they were all up there, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. It was crazy.
And I was about to go out, and you know, the other ones, he looks like, I don't know. I can't say some of the stuff I'm saying because people will think like,
He looks
"Damn,
like
he
Bishop
was like
T.D. Jakes
racist."
before the fame.
He did. Yeah.
Okay.
T.D.
Well,
Jakes
No, there's
on
somebody
his
who has a
way. He
picture-
hasn't eaten enough fucking
There's
potato
there's
chips
our
yet. to get to T.D. Jakes.
There's Tila has emojis praying and open hands.
Wait, somebody has a picture of Bishop T.D. Jakes. I actually have it in my pictures. I'll share it. But Bishop T.D. Jakes and his wife before the fame, and somebody said Popeyes, and then after the fame, all refined Chick-fil-A.
OMG. Christina's going. I gotta put up her comment here. LMAO weak. Black Beauty's going, tell it, Jen Aisha, tell it, y'all, tell it, y'all. I'm telling you, it's Pastor Jill. You guys are getting
I
it
know.
right. You're
know,
getting it
though,
right. LOL, Aisha.
I gotta say this though about
Oh, I know
Ron
this.
DeSantis and
Okay.
his nerve. Okay, he went to Texas, and the sad part about it is that people have forgotten that these are human beings.
Yes.
These people would
Yes.
treat dogs that way. Okay,
They haven't
This is someone with
forgotten. They don't care.
infant. Okay, but he went to Texas, and why did he go to Texas? Because that's Abbott's backyard. That is who he sees as his primary competition. So what does he do? Abbott says Abbott sends these buses. Well, guess what? DeSantis charters flights. It's like he's trying to one up, and the two of them are trying to one up. And I know a lot of people are anticipating him running in 2024, but please do not make the mistake that you made in 2016 and not take this man seriously.
Serious.
This man wants to win. He wants to be president, and he will do
And he's
anything.
an American
He's
Italian
trafficking human
racist.
beings to do it.
Yes. Yes.
He is an American Italian racist with tentacles in the mob himself, probably, or somebody in his family. Very rare do you have anybody with his background not have that. So please, I'm telling you, if you can get the word out, this guy is bad news and has been bad news for most of his life.
And he's wasting your money. As I pointed out on Twitter, Florida is number
Didn't he
30.
have a baby while his wife had breast cancer
That was John
by
Edwards.
another woman?
I have no idea on that.
I know
don't
it's John
follow
Edwards did that. But
Oh.
the thing
Okay.
is that Florida is number 30 when it comes to education
And
in
he
this
always
country.
looks so God.
Please spend your
damn,
tax
what
money on
is
this.
he? Ooh, those suits look bad. And I know he spent, what is that?
I don't know. And why is he wearing it anyway? Because first of all, it's too damn hot down here. But
And they
I
come
don't even
across
see how
like
anybody down
that
here can
barrel body, it's like
the barrel body.
You know, I have to say this.
down
He
here
did,
are
look,
absolutely.
he did them a favor by sending them to Massachusetts. You know why? Massachusetts, number one in education. Massachusetts is doing far better than Florida when it comes to providing resources for people, particularly their healthcare, their statewide and state-run healthcare. So you know what? You didn't hurt anybody.
And Ted, you'll never be President Cruz. He's been going really crazy about it because, he's like saying, oh, the people in, Martha's Vineyard, push them off into
Ted,
Providence
you weren't
or
born
whatever.
here. You'll never
But
be
I mean, when
president.
you go to Martha's Vineyard, I mean, anybody who's been there, it's like a resort town. It's like one of the Hamptons, it's
Right.
like there's not, you just don't have the facilities or anything for anything there. So
It's an island. It's an
and
island.
then they're also going after the transportation company that got $700,000 for these for this because it's probably a family member of Ron DeSantis or a friend or something.
They're all tied.
Because they're all tied together. You don't make, that dude got 700 G's, y'all.
Yeah.
700,000. Yeah.
And you know what though? The states that are receiving these people are not saying don't send them. They're saying, hey, give us a heads up. Let's coordinate. We'll make sure that the services are here and ready for them. You want to send them? Go ahead. We'll take them. We just need to set up the services for them. Not one state, not one person has turned the people back.
But it's
He
human
said
trafficking and they're going to face criminal charges.
Exactly.
They will.
And remember,
and
told
particularly because there were minors there.
Yes.
So they may think that, with the adult suit, but they had minors and they are no different. Ron DeSantis, you're no better than the people who trafficked all those people across the border who died in that truck, because had something happened to them like that, sorry, this is the saddest part of all. We are going to see many, many people coming from all over in many, many places. And number one reason is because of climate change. Why? Because these white men decided they don't ever have to think about anything. And now they want to haggle with your children, our children, other people's children, and, and our bodies after all that they've done to destroy the world. That's what they've done. And the saddest part is people from Venezuela have been going for a considerable amount of time. And let's not ever forget the involvement that America has played, and people who are sitting on American boards as board members still contribute to the downfall of all these countries who have their people cannot survive in those countries anymore. Let's never forget. And let's look at those boards too. If there's a problem in a country, let's see who is on a board that for Venezuela, who put in higher interest, who didn't get something back, who didn't get what they wanted, who helped with the coup down there. Let's just sit and take a look and go, whose mama, whose family is sitting on those boards? Because it doesn't get too far out of the silo, guys. It's always recycled money. These people, the money is so incestuous. That's something you should always remember. And they don't let you in the club that easily.
And
Nat's IQ Cam is saying, first time you're saying preach. Pastor Jill.
And DeSantis is really a coward too, because remember
Yes.
he did this balls out, excited about it, talking about it, until somebody said, "Hey, that's trafficking," and then you lied to those people about what they were getting and where they were going. That's a felony. And so yesterday he tried to walk it back. He was like, "Well, I didn't really go get them. It was once they landed here that I made no." Because everybody traced the money back.
No, Plymouth Rock didn't land. They didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Our Plymouth Rock landed on them. The reality is, if Exxon, Chevron, all of did their duty and paid what they needed to the countries and stopped slithering out from under, no wonder they jump out of buildings because they can't fit. I go ahead, jump. Because the reality is that money that they get off with, that people sit and watch their dumb silly lives and children and all of that, get jobs and do this and go to Harvard and do this and slither down the line. All of that are results. These immigrants are a result of what our rich billionaires have done to other people's countries. If they had to pay the fair amount in taxes, their share as credible, responsible citizens of the planet, not America. But if they did that, people would be able to stay somewhere. If you hadn't messed up all their cornfields, maybe the hell they would be able to grow stuff and eat. If you weren't all dealing drugs and smuggling them across the border, Merck Pharmaceuticals or whoever they are, whatever you are, then maybe this wouldn't exist with your cartels. But everybody's so busy trying to get over. But I'm telling you, karma is calling and asking everybody to just really look at themselves, look at yourself in the game, because the game's going to get real ugly, guys. That's why Jesus is speeding it up.
Preach, Pastor. Black Beauty says, question, ladies, can this racist GOP money train be stopped?
No. And the reason I'll say this, one of the reasons why it can't, is because you have certain corporations that give money to both parties, not just one in favor of the other. So you're talking like your Walmart, your Hewlett Packard, your Coca-Cola.
And
your
people
AT&T.
continue to shop at Walmart.
Yeah. And
it will never
donate to both parties.
Thank you. But here's the thing. It takes the people. You know that. Thank you for saying this, Aisha, because I will not step foot into a Walmart. I will not. Not after, for years I haven't gone. It is
not Walmart.
They don't treat their employees right. But then we sit here and go, are we ever going to get rid of the GOP? Not while all y'all still don't think that you don't matter. Because the fact that you don't think you matter is the very reason they're sitting at home with their 52 cars and their $100 million homes.
And then you
don't think your one voice can matter. Because your neighbors don't. But I'll tell you one damn thing. You make a stand, you create a thunder. Yeah. And soon it gets loud. But Americans don't like to sacrifice. I'll tell you one damn thing that's about to come. They're going to bring back the draft. And y'all going to be sacrificing your kids again. Because war is always the machine that has always worked. The old formula.
Yeah, every time
the old Vita Vita Vegemin.
So Aisha, Black Beauty says, Aisha, you seem to be an expert on legislation. Aisha, can we get legislation on the ballot to stop the GOP mega corruption?
Ideally, that would be nice. There are a number of challenges. First challenge is that elections are local. They're not federal. So your state, we'd have to get enough states to get this on the ballot, the same legislation, the same language on all 50 ballots, and let people vote on it. And then at that point, that would still be a state move. Because remember, there are federal laws that govern how people can run PACs. And then you also have state laws about how PACs and lobbyists are run. So you have to fulfill those. Here's my other point about this is that it wouldn't matter even if we got legislation on the books to control the corruption. We have some laws that have to be repealed before we can even do that. And the biggest one is the PAC. Yeah. Why do we have this? Remember, Republicans, this is what they did the whole time they did nothing while Obama was president. They passed the super PAC legislation
Yeah.
that meant that, for example, all of us, me, Jill, Lala, can only donate a max of $2,300 per year to any one candidate. That's the law. However, with the super PACs, there is no restriction on how much a person can donate, but also too, they don't have to disclose where their money comes from.
Right.
So when you go back to my example with the corporations, you look at Walmart. How is Walmart splitting their money between the parties? Is it 60-40? Is it 50-50? Is it 30-70? That makes a difference. And if it's 30-70, 70 to Republicans, you're talking millions and millions of dollars they can donate every year. You want to know why people at Walmart don't make a $15 livable wage? You want to know why Walmart does not provide people with health care? You want to know why Walmart will give people 36.5 to 37 hours a week, but not that 37.5 that will qualify them for healthcare? It's because they have money invested in these PACs that fund these candidates that will not pass those laws. Those candidates will sit there and their job is just to run their mouths about stuff like Marjorie Taylor Greene that has nothing to do with the lives of American people. And not do anything. And so guess what? As long as those people get the 70% of the money and get elected and don't do anything, the people that work for Walmart will never get their livable wage.
Aisha, serious. That was good. That was good. Fitnuts IQ can't go sip, drink. Yes. So another question Black Beauty has. Aisha, thanks for breaking that down. Now that the facts have been explained by you, where do the people start?
You start at your lowest possible race. It might seem insignificant to you at the time, but this is a 25-year plan that we have to enact as Democrats together, because guess what? It took Republicans 25 years to enact every little step that they needed so that they got that Dobbs decision reversed. Okay, so it starts with you vote for your town council, vote for your board of aldermen, whatever they call it, because guess what? Your school board, because guess what? This is where the people who will become your state legislators start. They start in these offices, then they run for state houses. And then guess what? Once they win the state houses, they might run for statewide office. And then beyond that, they start running for Congress and Senate, and even then try to jump into the presidency. So you have to vote at every election. There's an election every year, every November, everywhere there's an election, even if it's just you voting for your sheriff. Guess what? Your sheriff enacts those policies or retrains those police officers to not kill you. So you have to vote in all of these races, because guess what? A lot of sheriffs end up becoming state senators.
They sure do.
And they make those decisions on whether or not you can vote. So you've got to follow every race. It's like it's homework. You have to do it, and it has to be an automatic thing.
Aisha, thank you so much for breaking that down. Black Beauty's going, we got to do more than talk about it. And great minds like yours, Jill, Lala, and Dr. Vibe are putting this out there. Here, we got to keep this knowledge going. Well, that's why I have them on here. They bring an incredible amount of knowledge. So big thanks to Aisha. Thanks for breaking it down politically. Really, really appreciate that, and don't take it for granted. So I think it's a good segue because we were flirting about it, but let's talk about it. Biden improved rating and surges upward by 9 points. And what does that mean for the U.S. state, gubernatorial, and national races? So is it going to hold?
Well, you know what? There were a couple of different polls. So he ranged between 5 and 9 points, depending. But every poll has this in common. His approval went up.
Yeah.
And you know what's helping his approval go up? He's talking about his accomplishments, and Republicans are talking about taking away your rights. And guess what? He's letting them. He's not stopping there and going
pushing back.
Not pushing back. He's just like, you know what? My mother has this saying that she always told us when we were little. And it's like, when you're in a difficult situation and you're dealing with difficult people, sometimes you have to give a person enough rope to hang themselves. Joe Biden he's just pulling out the rope and letting them do what they're going to do. Because guess what? 2022, The Republican campaigns are in a disaster. This campaign season for them is a disaster, because guess what? Mitch McConnell wants to be Speaker of the Senate again. He wants to be Senate Majority Leader again, and he felt like he could get there, even if it was a long shot, until Lindsey Graham opened his mouth.
Right.
It was like, we're not going to talk about that. Oh, abortion. Lindsey Graham, hold my beer. Hey. and so, Mitch McConnell right now is mortified. He's there holding his crypt hands, just sitting there like, oh my God, I'm not going to be Speaker again. Kevin McCarthy is pissed at Lindsey Graham for this.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So you know what? Joe Biden, all he has to do is, like Joe says, sit in the cut. Sit there, just talk about what you've been doing. Talk about all the legislation you passed. Because I watched this morning on MSNBC and someone ran down everything that he passed. Like, one of the things that he passed, a lot of people don't know, is the protection of pensions.
Yeah.
Republicans were about to bankrupt all these companies, all these banks that held pensions for people for years. You want to know how this affects you? Okay, your dad, 35 years, worked as a janitor. Guess what? His pension,
no, they get rid of it.
Early, it goes to your mother. And then guess what? If she doesn't withdraw from all the pension, it goes to you. But then you sit and you tell me, well, my dad didn't join a union. Well, then guess what? That's the problem. That's how you create generational wealth. And Republicans count on people either not joining unions or trying to bankrupt the pensions that these
they also count on not being educated about that.
Exactly.
It's very difficult to have an education when your whole fucking generation is focused on TikTok. Even grown-ass motherfuckers sitting up there doing the dumbest shit. People as old as me acting silly as fuck to get, a little bit of like Pepsi and like cigarette money. It's like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And, I think that what was so wonderful about Joe Biden's, his accomplishments, and we have to constantly keep illuminating that for everybody.
Yes.
But one of the things about sitting back in the cut, I mean, as time went on about DeSantis, not to bring him up, but one more time here, the longer you started to realize, the people on a bus, sending them somewhere, that's like the equivalent of Hitler putting Jews on a plane and sending them places that nobody could stop. Nobody knew. Everybody was like, oh, it's nothing really. When is that going to happen? I mean, these are dry runs. What they're doing. It's like, wake up, that soon they're going to have a bunch of black folks headed somewhere.
They already did.
I don't know
That's
where
they get this from the
it was the reverse freedom.
1950s. Yep. And they ended up sending them to the same place.
But this time, there's going to be a destination unknown. Destination unknown.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that song. I love it.
Who sings it?
Del Bazio.
Do you hear me? Yeah. Missing persons. Yes, one of my former label mates.
I like this
Destination
dark
unknown.
brand. I love how Biden is embracing this dark Brandon thing. They tried to come in.
Yes, when he had the sunglasses.
Yeah, make it.
I
funny.
love his aviators.
He just embraced it, and that to me was just classic. That is one of the best moves.
Hercules. I love it. I love it. That is my favorite.
That's when I just get really stupid with it. When he embraces that, and I'm all in.
Okay, let me just.
I gotta say this. We can't overlook what he did Friday. You gotta remember our railroads.
That was a big.
Were about
that
to
was a big
strike.
thing.
That would have shut down the entire country. Shut down everything. It's how we get our food. It's how we get good supplies. It's how we travel. It would have shut down. It's how we get oil and gas. It would have shut down everything.
It would have shut down all the other trafficking that they've still been trying to do.
But he averted that, because let me tell you, those railway workers, he was able to negotiate them getting some of what they wanted.
Oh, he has a soft spot for the railroads.
That
is not even a lie with Joe.
And I'm sorry, but I'm a union person. Both my parents were in unions, and so that's how they retired.
Yeah.
It's the unions unions in
way
this
to go.
country are important,
They
so
are.
critically important. I mean, I can tell you from when I was a child, my mother was a teacher. When she started teaching in 1972, teachers only made $7,000 a year in Connecticut. There was a massive jump by the time I turned like 10, where teachers, because they had the union, like the pay went up so much, and they started paying teachers some of what they're worth. I mean, you look down south, like
Oh,
like
Randy
Florida,
Weingarten is no
teacher
joke.
salaries like $22,500. Are you serious?
I mean,
People pay more
sometimes
for
I thought the
education than that.
school union was crazy, but Randy Weingarten, man, she could hold down like, whoa. You know, it's not a job for the weak. That's certainly for sure. And I also feel like when you bust up a union, the whole concept of that is you create where there's no solidarity or any kind of unity amongst the people to ever think that, hey, wait a minute, my voice matters, which is why I always talk about in France, when the trucks decided to be like, yo, we want more money, they all block the roads. They all lock it down. And I don't see anything wrong with that. But unfortunately, we went through that with people driving around the city. But there's no unity in the Democratic Party because we always got somebody, you know, who can't toe the line with the rest of us for a minute till we get over the hill. We'll talk about what you want to talk about. They all want to be talking about their, well, I don't think that maybe this was the right way on the way up the hill.
Let's talk about this after you're elected.
Yeah, right. We're
Right.
going up
Well,
the
you
hill.
see how
I want to hear it. Let's
just
all
with
be
Starbucks,
of the
not
same.
even with closing their own, closing stores when they talk
Yeah,
about
that
union.
tells you how important
They
unions are.
did,
That the owner
which
of
is-
Starbucks,
should
the
be
CEO,
wrong.
would rather close a store
Yeah.
than let his workers organize.
And that's
he
another
said
way. Can't do that business, you
Nope.
know. But see, it really comes down to us as individuals, us as consumers, because let's be really straight up. This country would not exist if people were not so greedy and concerned about impressing their neighbors or I've got this better than you. Consumer whores. Everybody is a consumer whore. You raise consumer whore babies. Everybody is a consumer. And some are even bigger and better consumers. It wouldn't function without it being consumers. So it comes down to how much are you willing to consume? Because now, in my opinion, America and its integrity is starting to look like an island where they're doing those hot dog festivals. And I think it's one of the most disgusting events ever. I get it. But people love it. It's just, we have to have a little bit of like concern with our fellow man and what we think is acceptable for have at least a standard that people can't drop below. Here, it's bottomless. If you're going down, they're like, bye, you know, on the way
as you're going
as
down.
you're going down.
But part of the problem is that we live in a country where being sedated is what people crave, that whether it's being sedated physically through drugs, alcohol, etc., vices.
Can't say
or
I blame
it's being
them anymore.
Right. Or it's being sedated by just having people tell you what you want to hear.
Yes.
And lull you into a false sense of security.
Yes.
Like everything that you believe in and that you have won't just someday up and disappear.
Yes.
Let me catch up because there's been lots of things coming out on the comment side. Fitness, IQ Kansas, great breakdown, Aisha. Tila, loving this discussion. Black Beauty, thank you. Thank you, guys. Jen says, missing persons. Destination unknown.
Yes.
Missing persons. Tila goes, yeah.
Boy, I got to say something about that song. Did she or did Dale Bozio not have that in the pocket singing that song on the verses, man? I still get a tingle when I hear and the way the progressions were. And her husband was like the dopest drummer. I mean, sorry. Yeah, fucking amazing. It was a good band. Yep. You know, yeah, she could deliver that vocal. Say what you will, but you know, and as far as like sedated, I wanna be sedated. I don't know where to go home. I wanna be sedated. Hurry, hurry, hurry.
Pastors on fire tonight. Black Beauty saying, speaking of unions, Kroger's is threatening to strike.
Ooh. They should.
Yeah,
and
Black
someone
Beauty's
who used to shop at Kroger, they should.
Yep, Black Beauty saying, yep, Jill.
Isn't it Wegmans back east? Wegmans is a part of Kroger.
I don't know, but we don't have a Wegmans yet. We're getting our first one in the state, But when I
Ralph's
lived
is
in,
part of Kroger's here.
yeah, but when
Yeah,
I lived in
Ralph's.
South Carolina, I used to shop at Kroger. You had
Well, I
your
guess I'm
choice
gonna
of
have to
one of
give
the
up
three:
on.
Kroger,
I have
Bilo,
to
or
drop
Food
Ralph's.
Lion. There's no
I
place
gotta-
else to shop.
So
I gotta
Tila's
kick
saying,
Ralph's to the
yes,
curb.
love that song Pastor Jill was recently singing. Okay, let's move on to the next conversation piece. Cowardice in journalism.
Hugh Hewitt, why did you sit there talking to Donald Trump? The door was open. When he said it's going to be terrible, terrible, and started listing all these things, you stop and you say, wait a second, that sounds like a threat. That sounds very much like what you said on January 6th, which we know the aftermath of that. But instead, Hugh Hewitt sat there like, oh, wow, this is great. What else? And it's like, I am so, as a person who is a journalist by trade, I am so frustrated with my profession and people. Here's the thing. First of all, journalists are supposed to be objective, right? But objectivity goes out the window when you have one political party that is trying to overthrow the government or plot a coup or just not lie at
They don't
every
care.
instance. They don't care. They lie. Cowardice, that's cowardice in journalism. You know, I wrote this on Twitter, but I believe it. Stop covering Donald Trump. You want him to go away? Stop. You don't give a fire oxygen.
Right.
Stop covering
Right.
him. They
You
cover
cut that
every
off,
little
it dies.
burp. Look, every little burp, everything that comes out of his body, they cover. Like,
Yes.
oh my God, did you just see that?
Yes.
No, don't give him any air. He is a former president. If Barack Obama was doing this same kind of crap, you all would be criticizing him. You wouldn't cover it. Then you would criticize him, and then you would just remember what you did with the tan suit. Okay, so
Okay, but Hugh Hewitt, let's just be honest. At one
Hewitt
point,
is
I had
this-
to. First of all, I got confused thinking it when I heard Hugh Hewitt. He was on Hugh. I got him confused with Howard Hewitt
at one time
from Shalimar. Wasn't Howard Hewitt?
Oh, Howard Hewitt.
So
Yeah.
when I heard everybody talk, I was like, "What's Donald Trump doing with Howard Hewitt?" But then
Howard Hewitt can sing.
Then, right, I was like, "What the?" Right? So before I jumped and released all the water from my gills, I went and looked it up and saw, oh, it was Hugh Hewitt, who used to be the president and CEO of the Richard Nixon Foundation. I don't know what we expect. And he worked in the Reagan administration. And then here's the real killer. Dude is 4 years older than me. That's shocking. That in itself is enough to put him down. I'm like, he was born in 1956. Yo, this guy looks ancient. He's also a Pisces. So sometimes Pisces men you gotta watch. I know. February 22nd.
He got canceled because people couldn't stand the fact that he was so right-wing batshit crazy.
He really was, and it's terrible because and he was a Harvard. What are they teaching at the Ivy League schools? That I'm not trying to be like jump on the alt-right thing.
I wonder if some of these people are actually going to class.
Right. You've got to wonder, like, it's that needs to be busted up. Just busted up on GP, because there's no reason. We've had too many like really diabolical people coming from the Ivy League, and they're all sort of traunched and stuck in compartments of our culture and our society. And that needs to be that needs to go. That's just some other colonialist just needs to be. It means absolutely nothing. It's had people go into so much debt. And Hugh Hewitt is sitting up there with Donald Trump, and they're lying. And they just keep lying. So yeah, there's no journalism because first of all, he could never be a journalist because he's one thing, a lawyer. Which means you're a liar.
So many lies where he could have come in and, hey, that's a lie. I'm sorry. Let me clear this up for my listeners. This is a lie.
Oh, and I might have run into him. No offense. Just saw this. He's from Warren, Ohio. I'm from Warren, Ohio. He's 4 years older than me. I probably passed like somewhere and he was racist. Oh, yeah. Oh. He's from Ohio, my era, a boomer. No, thank you. Please, no. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. The more I
No
read
worries. So
about him,
let's
the
get
worse
catch
it
up
is.
here. Black Beauty saying mainstream journalism in the USA has definitely become more cowardice political. Self-biased resistor says no such thing as a journalist these days. And
There
then Black
used to
Beauty says, ladies, do you think our journalists would get woke on no bias if not funded the way mainstream media is?
Oh, absolutely. Think about the Black press, right? They struggle with their numbers and everything, but they do tell the truth. They do publish. They don't take this, oh, let's both sides it. Because guess what? Sometimes there's not two sides to everything. There's only one side. And oftentimes that one side is the truth. And so I think that we have this corporate, media, all these conglomerations that have like bought up everything, like Clear Channel buys up
CNN.
everything.
Yeah.
CNN, think about it, because it's not just your news stations, people. It's also your radio. It's
It
how
is.
you get every form of any kind of news. So guess what? Anytime it's like, yeah, it would be nice if the money was out the way, but guess what? The organizations that start modestly, and once they hit a certain level of fame, those corporations come swooping in, ready to buy them up. And it's got to be people doing journalism for journalism's sake. Because here's the thing about journalism: it's not a sorry, I knocked my laptop over. It's not a lucrative industry. It really is not, and it only starts to become lucrative when corporations buy into it. Remember, part of the salary I grew up on was a DJ salary, not much. And that was with independent media. Clear Channel brought up that station. These DJs out here at that station make more money than you would ever assume that a DJ makes that doesn't play records like they used to, put the needle on the record or a CD and whatever. They just push a button for a corporate track.
Well, it's all programming. It's all programmed, and they all determine what licensing they're willing to pay. I mean, one question you should have as well is like Caitlin Collins climbed the ladder of success so fast on CNN. What the hell? She's only 29 years old.
Yeah.
30 almost. It's very strange because she's not that great either. All because she said some provocative things to Biden and Trump during that phase. It's really, really weird. It's just the way they have their little stars that they want to make. It's unfortunate. I mean, and as far as like, I don't think people understand what world we're living in at the moment. It's like we're living in a world where if I had a bunch of tattoos on my arm and I go on TV, I'd have to cover them or call to get a license, people to write the license that I can be seen with these tattoos on my body. You know, because you don't own your tattoos. The person who puts them on owns them. It's like your masters. So, we're living in that world where everything of our personal lives is being regulated and licensed, even our kids or pets or whatever. Everything's being licensed and nothing's being regulated. And pretty soon, that's a very dangerous slippery slope for a country to be in, because all that means is attorneys are going to make a ton of money in the future defending people who say, no, that was mine. That's my body part. I came up with that. So we're headed down some really, the ethics, even with journalism, all of this in journalistic integrity. Our citizens don't even have integrity. They'll sell out the country for $400.
Yeah.
What do we expect? We've got the dumbest, they said the algorithm that China gives on TikTok, they would never, and a few friends of mine who've come back from China are like, yeah, that's not what cycles and is viral in China. But they deliberately push people eating like, toe jam sandwiches and making it viral. And they push the garbage because it's a strategy of China to dumb down the nation of America. And they've succeeded.
Well,
and then it'll come in
China also, remember, China has very strict regulations on what they allow to come
to their
people.
Get thrown off. You get thrown off after if you've been on more than an hour.
We don't have
that.
We don't have that. So people get exposed to all kinds of stuff. But the Chinese government, they control what their people get.
Yeah.
Oh, they
It's
sure
crazy.
do, because I was with a company that was based out of there, and they were trying to start their American version here, which is still going. I'm not allowed to say which it is,
Mhm.
but I saw the inside workings of that, and I actually had access to all the stuff that was done over there. It ain't
No,
nothing like it is here.
no,
Nothing, and that is danger.
it
All
is. They
right.
have so much on all of us. It's crazy.
Let's catch up questions. Thanks, Aisha, for the breakdown on media funding. Is this something that can be changed with legislation?
Unfortunately, no, because media organizations operate like private businesses, and
They
they're
are private
yeah, they are
businesses.
private businesses, and they're privately funded. Um, the only way that there are some regulations are with public radio that's publicly funded. However, the other part of this is that um, media isn't just privately funded. There's the aspect of this freedom of speech that we have that people do not want to touch or regulate or anything like that. So journalists are covered by the First Amendment, and then they work for private companies. So there's like this double protection that goes on where you have a Tucker Carlson who can say what he says because guess
Mhm,
what? Fox is privately held with their stakeholders.
mhm.
And then he says, well, I have freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, we, what our Constitution doesn't say is that freedom of speech is not free of consequences.
Mhm.
So people do pay consequences. However, those consequences are not legislative. You can't
But
you can't legislate them until they cross the line of being libel or slander.
Fox is also listed as an entertainment company.
Right.
So it's kind of like when you're on YouTube and you say, disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only, like our show, it's for
Right.
entertainment purposes only. That is the protection. Only Rupert Murdoch really registered it as entertainment, not
Right.
as a news program, a news affiliate.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
Which makes it different from CNN because CNN does consider itself a news
Source.
organization. Remember,
Mhm.
CNN also does not have an entertainment arm. Fox does. The
they
entertainment arm
used to,
of
they
Fox.
sold it, I believe. It
They,
was sold.
they sold the Fox News arm.
But they sold the
The news,
film division.
they sold the film
They don't.
division and they sold the news arm. The news arm was sold so that even a smaller group of people have controlling interest of that. So think
Yeah.
about that. There's even a smaller pocket of people saying what can and cannot be said on that company, in that company, in that on that channel. And I look and guess how many of those people that have that share are actual hosts on the shows.
Yeah.
Mm.
Think
True.
about that. Tucker
Oh.
Carlson, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, all those people, they have ownership.
Which I think people should be able to sue direct then. If
yeah,
you have a problem, you really, I don't believe in class action suits. I think they're great for some, but I do believe that everybody should get their own attorney and just like pile on,
yeah,
separately if you can.
yeah,
Because class actions are really just a hand slap for the
Yeah.
billionaires.
yeah. And remember, when so-called journalists have a control, or not a controlling interest, but a financial interest in the media organization, it shapes how they do their journalism. Period.
Mhm. Yeah, everything. That's the consumer end. It's like the whore's hustle and the hustler's a whore.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Regina says both sides should be presented warts and all. Journalism has become opinionism. It's not entertainment. You want people to critically think or tell them what to think. Can't have it both ways. Black sheep.
Actually, I have to interrupt here. Actually, that is the whole point of journalism: is that you have it both ways. Went to journalism school. Sorry, that is the point of journalism: is that you have two differing opinions. You have both at the same time, and people are supposed to take from it and make their own mind up. The problem that we have now is that you have entities that only present one side, and it's the side that makes them money.
Mm.
There is a place for opinionism in journalism. That's why we have op-eds. It's opinion editorials. That's what op-eds is for.
But we used to see
Present
less of them than we do
right. We used
now.
to see less of
Everybody's
them.
got an opinion.
However, here's my
And we
thing.
found out that many people can't think at all, let alone be critical in it.
Yeah, but present both sides, warts and all, to a point. When one side is blatantly lying, you have to present it as a lie. You can't sit here and say, oh, this is a valid political opinion. No, it's like, tell it like it is. It's a lie. And we have to be able to do that. So media journalism doesn't know what both sides is anymore. It's been so corrupted that people don't know what is an actual truth versus what is actually some made up stuff somebody came up with to position themselves politically. We just don't know.
All right. More conversation piece. Black Beauty. To me, this seems to be a problem in moving or our country forward is the way money legislation is set up. Until we change this, we can't change.
She's right.
That's on point. There's no argument to that because that's nothing but the fundamental truth.
They're never going to change it.
No,
it's gone. It should have never happened.
Okay. And Regina also says editors are often told by owners to shut certain stories down.
Like I said, depends on who you work for. The more money you make, the more likely you'll see that. Regular journalists, the majority of who makes under $70,000 a year, have a little bit more say so in their stories. Editors don't necessarily shut down certain stories, but I'll tell you, that's why do you think that there were all these big turnovers in BuzzFeed and all those places where they were losing 25 people got laid off, or 25 people. It's not that they got laid off, it's that they all decided to walk out at the same time because they didn't like having the control. One thing I tell you, writers don't like to have editors confine them and constrict them and tell them what to do. A good editor's job, a good editor is going to edit the story so it looks good, it presents well, it reads well. Because if they are good at their job, they want all opinions and all voices to be heard as long as they're truthful.
I'm currently listening to a podcast. I'm a podcast freak. And I come across this past week, and it's called Killed. And it talks directly about how stories are killed. And why. Yes. And I had no clue that it got that deep. And it talks not only about just in the news media, print or TV, it definitely talks about the articles being written for certain magazines and for certain newspapers. And it is very eye-opening because it's so, once again, we're back into our dark world of bubble, what do you call it, Stranger Things, the upside down.
Right.
There's a whole thing going on in the upside down that we are not privy to until someone, and you can blame it or not, a lot of these podcasts are great for being able to come out and tell the truths or the sides that we need to hear. You just have to dig to listen. And it's a great read. It's a great listen. It's a great listen.
And I'll tell you, I've killed my own stories anytime an editor tried to change the direction of the story so that it lost the point it was trying to make. I'm like, guess what? You can have somebody else write it. Don't put my name on it. Period. Because
that's happened.
I don't want to live with that. Because remember, the other thing too about writers, people have to remember is that is their product. That's what represents them. So if you have writers who choose to not be seen, and you know what, I'll tell you this. Here's a writer here who is exactly the example of what Regina Frisk is talking about. Maggie Haberman. Maggie Haberman will suck Trump's toes for a story, right? She will. And then the next article she'll write is about how, she has this inside scoop. But guess what? She held it for 2 years. Okay. Right. That is someone who is the kind of journalist that Regina Frisk is talking about. The majority of journalists, but guess what? Maggie Haberman is also a 6-figure plus earning journalist.
Yes.
The others who do
but her mother is very, very high up.
Also knew Trump very well too.
And her mother is in society. She has a 6-figure, not because she's a great writer, but because of her access to the people who own the Times and all of that. Yet again, all you're paying for is access, and like we were talking earlier, is power. You
Yeah.
know, it doesn't end and begin with journalism either. People kill people's careers in entertainment easily. It's just the way it is. I feel like an editor, if a magazine has a certain style and you're writing for them and it doesn't go along with what their style is, you shouldn't be working there.
Yeah.
If your voice or your tone doesn't resonate with what they want, hell no, why would you do that? But I do feel like you have to, that's what you're doing. That's it. So, we used to be in a situation with magazines. Even the Village Voice was an incredible paper in New York that had so many various opinions on things. But the mission of that paper was still quite liberal on one hand, and every now and then you'd get another point of view. But we don't have things like that anymore. Even if you look at Newsweek or what you see, it is every lines are divided. Nobody gets to sit on the fence anymore.
No.
You're either in that gang or you're in this other gang.
And remember all your local papers? You used to have like a local advocate or something like that.
Yeah, they don't like that anymore.
Guess what? Those are corporate now.
Yeah.
That's the part. Those are corporate now, and it's so bad.
But
Like,
because
I used
it's
to love
so
our
grim,
local advocate.
it's very grim. The future is grim and it's dire, and you've got many, many people trying to maneuver and manipulate a lot of people that I guess Regina is speaking about, who I think who are actually as dumb as. This is the other thing. A writer these days has had to dumb down so far for the intelligence of American people. It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking.
Mhm.
I mean, these people. There's just the nuances. Somebody told me something very, very interesting. That they showed a bunch of Gen Z kids a pager, and they were all like going, "This is stupid. What is this?" I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe you're stupid that you can't figure out how it works. I mean, all these people are doing, and like, you guys are just recycled boomers. You're just recycling what we did,
Yes.
and you're the bad version too. And because sometimes when you jump steps, this is my point. When you jump steps and you never understand a foundation of how you got somewhere, you're actually going to be the dumbest person in the room.
And there are.
My mom always said, at least know a little bit about something, so that about everything, so that you can at least hold a conversation somewhere and just really generally understand and be able to read a room a little bit, or keep your mouth shut. Like Bill Clinton said today about Ken Starr. My mom, and he stopped saying that too, because I know if you don't have anything nice to say, don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the other challenge here is that there are more than enough stories for every journalist to cover. The fact is that they're competing for the same stories because guess what? That's where the money is.
They are, but Aisha, last week we spoke about 60% of American people below a certain age. I don't know, like from like 50s below. They can't read.
No.
That's shocking. They cannot read. So the fact that they're not clicking open to read an article. The best they can do is the title, the headline.
They watch video. Everything's video.
Yeah.
Everything's video. And people don't read. People don't even read.
It was a shocking revelation.
It is so
they can't read.
It is so frustrating to me as a person who writes and loves words and all of that to see the fact that people when people say, "I don't read," like that's a badge of honor. What are you talking about? You don't read.
And we know they can't write. And we also know that they said that even when Donald Trump was in office, it got to the point where he really couldn't read. And then they had to put things in pictures. And then here's the worst of it all. They actually reduced it even down further to cat pictures with the story.
I read about
entertained.
That, See, I read about that. I didn't see it on video.
But that's why he was president. Water seeks its own level. That's who they are.
Well, remember what they said when George Bush. Remember, people were like, "Oh, yeah, George Bush is the president I'd like to have a beer with." These people don't vote for someone who's going to make their lives better.
No.
They vote for someone that they can go have a drink with.
Yes.
Or go to the Klan rally with.
Bam.
I'd rather I would have liked to have maybe had beer with some. Yeah, that's like a barefoot in the field type of beer, but yeah, this is the gone are the days where I don't know, maybe they thought that it's like they'd all get together in their Pentecostal outfits with snake charmers and get to sleep with each other. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'll tell you this though. One of the reasons that I stopped writing political articles about 2 years ago, really, is because it's like people, they want you to write about Donald Trump. Like, is there some way that you can make this, work this into the current thing? But Donald, no, I cannot.
Everything.
Unless I can say that I hate him. No, I cannot. And I was just like, I'm done. I don't want to write about politics anymore. If I have to write about this man, I'm done.
But then that goes right back to what we said. As long as we continue to give him this oxygen, it will never go away.
Yep. That's how you put out a fire. You cut down its oxygen source. You want to put Donald Trump down, off his access to the media. That man feeds on it.
Yes.
All right. Let's move forward. Last conversation topic. Jill, you wanted to talk about the passing of filmmaker Jean Luc Godard.
What a legend, part of what the new wave of cinema. Anyone who saw Contempt or Breathless, which is those are just a couple of his iconic films. And then his last two, I think there was one called Goodbye something. I forgot the name of it, but that was lovely because he was a lot older. He was 92 or 96. I can't remember. But what a legend. He just did some amazing things on screen. Really turned cinema around, made a lot of stars, that iconic people. And I just believe we will not have the legitimacy of some of these people with this incredible ability going forward in the future. First of all, I don't even know if people can keep an attention span longer than 10 minutes on a film. Sadly, even that's going to go away. But if you look at the cinematography, and I'm a lover of cinema, so good cinema. I don't think horror movies and all that stand them. But this is just a very sad thing. But he lived an amazing life, and what a contribution. So I just wanted to speak about him. A Woman is a Woman, Histoire de Cinéma, My Life to Live, Pierrot Le Fou. There's just so many great films which were pretty notable.
Mm-hmm.
But great guy. Great guy.
All right. Well, that is another epic conversation. Oh, Tila says, we will never see the Orange Dracula's grades because he had the fixer Cohen threaten the schools.
Yeah, right.
Here's all you need to know about Donald Trump's grades. We know this locally because, things get out. And also, too, it was covered during one of the presidential elections. George W. Bush was a C- student at Yale. So what do you think Trump was?
No. He paid people to write his papers.
His sister already admitted to doing that.
Yes. He didn't do anything. He didn't even go to class.
like he said, VD was his personal Vietnam. That's what he was doing during college.
Venereal disease.
Yep. Still sleeping with people, unprotected, probably porn stars like he did as a man.
Okay. All right. That is hilarious. Well, not hilarious. It's pretty sad. I won't say hilarious. It's pretty brutal, to be honest with you. Okay.
I want to know how many women he gave STDs to.
I ain't going there. Let's finish with that. All right, family, we are done. Another epic conversation. So program alert. We will be back live on October 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. During that time, a lady named Aisha Staggers is going to have a birthday on the 21st of September. So 23rd of September. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. All right. And that is good. So again, no live show until October 1st. Tila is saying, great show. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. So before we say a sayonara for a little bit, we're going to, as usual, let the ladies give their contact information. So first off, the lady they call Lala.
You can find me at Realty Goddess on all the platforms. That's I'm hot on all of them. You name TikTok all the way down to Facebook.
Oh
Which I'm
my
crazy
gosh,
right
you
now, but I'm on
TikToker.
all
All
of
right.
them.
All right. Next up, Jill Jones.
That's me, Jill D. Jones
That's me.
on Twitter,
Okay.
and Jill Jones Music at Instagram.
All right. And Aisha K. Staggers.
Aisha Staggers Twitter, AK Staggers Instagram, and you can contact me this week. Next week I'm on vacation, so I'm not answering a thing. I'm not even
There
going
you
on
go.
social media.
We'll have a good time away from it. And you can catch myself, if I can put myself on the screen here. There we go. I'm on the screen now. There you go. There are all the contact information. Website, thedrvibeshow.com. That's THEDRVIBESHOW.com. Email dr@the drvibeshow. YouTube and Facebook, The Dr. Vibe Show. Twitter at drvibeshow. Instagram at the drvibeshow.com. You can catch replays of State of Things with Aisha and Jill and Lala at the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and Facebook, and the website, the drvibeshow.com. And one other thing, if you'd like to promote your business or service on our show, why not? Contact me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Think about it. You promote your business, it stays on forever. It doesn't go nowhere. All right. So let's read a few more comments before we exit out of here for a little bit. And Tila says, happy early birthday, Aisha. And Black Beauty, wow, my daughter Christina's birthday is also, I think that's supposed to say 9/23/88. It's not 9/33/88. So I'm going to go with 9/23/88. So we're going to leave it at that. So, oh, hold on. Just one more thing popped up. Yes, typo. 9/23. So Black Beauty's daughter and Aisha have the same birthday. Yay. All right. So let's get that off. Let's do this. And let's do what we like to do. We'll end off with this. Man, I got too many buttons to push today. So let me do that. All right, we're done. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. We will see you live on October 1st. 9 p.m. Eastern time. In between that, we'll probably have a replay up next Saturday. We'll get back to Saturdays. We had to do a Sunday thing today, but we'll probably look for a replay next Saturday evening. And subscribe. Wherever you're watching this, please subscribe, all right? God bless. Peace, well, keep the faith. Walk good.